Hello and welcome to another episode of Sail Away with Kim&Tyler. In the last episode, we left off talking about how our contracts didn't always line up.
Now, in our previous conversation that we had, my contract was supposed to end in February. However, it got cut short and my contract finished in January. So, as you know, that we were like, ship life is like longer because you're constantly seeing each other all the time. So, we're in a situation, okay, this is where do we lead off from now? Weren't we really? And I think we kind of like I had stronger feelings for you and you weren't too sure. I left. That's how. Is that what you?
Yeah,
like?
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then, because I wasn't looking for a relationship at all when I
Me
started on
neither.
ships, I was kind of like, whatever happens, happens. I was just, kind of just wanting to, live life and just,
Yeah.
see whatever would happen. But definitely as soon as you were gone, I knew that I needed to see you again.
He knew what he was missing. You know, who doesn't?
Yeah. So then I actually booked her a cruise as a guest to come on the ship again before she went on her next contract. So then you came back to the Magic as a guest for a week.
Yeah, because I remember, like going to his your cabin, and then I said to you, like, my feelings, I love you, and I didn't really get a response back. So I thought I kind of was in the right grump. So I grabbed all my stuff and left. Went into my own cabin, and I kind of like, you know what? I don't know what to do. So then I said it, sod it, I'm going to Australia, and I chose Spirit, which, I still ended up doing. And then, obviously, when I left, it was so emotional. I remember in the crew bar, and this song played.
Yeah, that was not a great moment. They basically, because
It was really early I debarked as
there
well.
were a couple different ways that they would do it, but I think because you had an early flight, they had to get you off right when we docked and were cleared.
Yeah.
So I think that they gathered those people, like there were only a handful of people that were signing off that early, right? So they gathered them all in the crew mess, which is on deck 0, which is at, like sea level. Not really guest areas at all. The guests get off the ship there, but that's about all they go down there for. And so you had
Or
to
the
get off at
medical
like
center.
yeah, you had to get off at like 6 a.m. or something. So we went down there like probably like 5:30 or so, and then the crew bar, like, they don't serve alcohol 24/7, but there are like games in there. Like there was a pool table, I remember, and some other stuff. And so people like to play that, and you're allowed to go and do that, 24/7. So there were some crew members who were not signing off, who were like playing pool. And there's like this like jukebox kind of thing. It's not exactly touch tunes, but kind of like that. And right before, literally minutes before Kim had to get off the ship, they started playing this song.
Yeah, do you know what song it was?
Yeah, it's called With You, I think, or maybe it's called With Me by Sum 41. It's a very, like, kind of nostalgic kind of song. It's kind of about like heartbreak and like lost love and kind of stuff, which was the absolute opposite of what we needed at that time, because
Like,
we were leaving and we kind of didn't know when we would see each other again. Because, like Kim said, she had booked her next contract on the Spirit, which was in Australia.
I remember when people were saying to me, like, oh, relationships never work. So obviously I was thinking, like, feeling a bit doubtful, and I didn't know what to expect. We both didn't.
Yeah, and then we sort of just let it unfold, and definitely like
Yeah, Tyler wasn't into, like, buying internet or, like, chatting to each other. So he literally bought it just to, like, talk, and we were talking, like, every day. And
yeah,
and that's when you decided I want to make this work. Do you want to come on
Yeah.
a cruise? And
So
I'm like, what? You
right.
get paid for? Yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
So Kim, like we said, left in January, and my contract went through the end of April. I want to say April 28th of 2018 is when I signed off the Magic. And Kim left the first week of January. Like she was there from New Year's, was in the middle of a cruise, and then you signed off like in the middle of that first week of January. And so I was going another almost 4 complete full months without her. And then she was scheduled to go to the Spirit around that time at the end of April.
Yeah.
You had picked that ship before the end of that contract. And then it was getting to the time where I was thinking about my next contract. And I naively thought, oh, I'll go on the Spirit too. I can do that. And then I found
Yeah.
out, unfortunately, that when they were using the horn players weren't on every class of ship. So, no, I could not, in fact, go on the Spirit to
How many
Australia.
ships can like the Horns do? Because there's not that
When
many,
they
is
were
there?
doing it, it was, I think that there were more ships than not without horns, but definitely Spirit class did not have them, and Fantasy class did not have them because there were
No.
none on Fascination or Inspiration when you were on those. The Fantasy, all the small ships didn't have
Which
them.
I'm surprised because like San Juan, like in Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
is known for like its
like
music.
salsa,
Yeah.
merengue kind of music, which is big with horns, but they
Yeah.
just didn't program the horns on those ships for whatever reason. And so when Kim decided she was going to Australia, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll try to go there too. And
Yeah.
I
You
kind
missed
of
out.
seem to remember one of the guys in the band being like, oh, nice try, buddy. You're not going to be able to do that. He was a more, veteran musician with
Yeah.
Carnival.
So I
So I learned the hard
sacrificed. I
way.
sacrificed Spirit in the end.
Well, you still did it.
Well, I did. I did do it because I was like tossing and turning, and I like. So obviously you have to do like loads of paperwork to like all the visas and everything, and I
Yeah,
was
that was a different
concentrating
visa for
on.
Australia, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was concentrating on like getting on the ship with Tyler, going as a guest, and my mum's like, no, you need to concentrate on your visas, get all that sorted.
Oh, I remember that. You almost didn't get
I
the
know,
ESTA in time,
I
did you?
know. I kind of left it
I
to
forgot
like
about that.
last minute.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but it worked out okay.
Yeah, I came on the yeah, because actually when I was supposed to go a certain date, and I remember we were in Amber Cove, and I got an email saying that your dates have changed, and I was literally gonna leave like soon as I got back. I think I only had like a couple of days,
Right, and
and
you
that
were expecting to have at least a week or so
yeah,
at home, right?
and then I was like packing, and that's when I like forgot about like the visa, which
Mm-hmm.
I managed to apply for. It wasn't so as hard as I thought, but yeah, and then I just kind of like, oh, I don't know whether to go on your ship, and
Yeah, by that time, I think that I had picked my next contract, which ended up being the Triumph, which no longer exists. They turned it into the Sunrise. But that was a fun ship because that one was out of New Orleans. I had never been to New Orleans before,
yeah,
and I never really would have had a reason to go otherwise. But obviously, as a musician and someone who plays jazz, New Orleans is like the place to be. And so Kim was able to basically, did you like cut the contract short and then come, or was it
so
technically a different contract, or how did that work?
so um what happened was I managed to switch with someone who was
Mm.
and I think that's how I managed to get onto your ship. I think I had a couple of weeks home before I signed
Did you? I
on.
didn't remember
I
that.
think so because I think I signed on in August.
Yeah, I signed on in August, and I remember there being a couple of weeks before you got there. So that one, the majority of that contract, we were there. I was on the Triumph, or wait, did I get on Triumph in July?
Yeah, because you were on there before me. That's where
Yeah,
I
because I
was.
remember going to rehearsals in June, and that was a shorter rehearsal from what I remember,
Yeah,
because we were doing
this
shorter
it's
cruises, so we
crazy
needed
in how
less
long it
musical
goes.
material. Yeah, that's, yeah. Well, and we can talk about that if you want.
What's that?
That itinerary on Triumph. That
Yeah,
was not our favorite one,
I know I
to
sacrificed
say the
because
least.
mine was a crossing that I kind of like was gonna go to. This is when I was on Spirit,
So
so our
where was the home port there? It was Sydney, right?
Sydney. Oh, right outside, you could see the Sydney Harbour Bridge and
And the
like the
Opera
Opera
House.
House.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
so
like
jealous. I've never been to
so
Australia,
good.
and Kim worked there.
Well, do you want me tell you a story?
Yeah.
My mum said you got to mention it. You got to mention it.
Oh, I know what story you're
And
talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
so people probably want to know like stories and like in depth on like what will happen if like you're late on a ship. So this happened to me. So I had the Sydney Harbour Bridge tour booked, and everyone knew that I was gonna do it. And however, I went and I did it, and I kind of went near the port, and I noticed like there was not that many people there, and I just didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, you know what, I'll have time for a bite to eat. So I went to go and get a bite of something to eat, and I turned on like I was playing with my phone, and I had like loads of messages, and the girls were saying, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" And I was like, I looked, and then when I saw "Where are you," I pegged it. I ran so fast, and I remember my leggings were like coming down a bit, and I just felt like a bit like, oh, I need to run, and I'm not bothered. I'll just have to, if it comes down the arse, like it's one of them. I do not want to be, out of all the places in the world, you do not want to get stuck in like Australia when it's what, a 24-hour flight. It's just not a place where you want to get stuck.
Right.
And yeah, I was apparently the last one, they were waiting for. Out of like, there was no guests that they were waiting for, no crew members. They were waiting for one person. And luckily, the girls were really good and kept in contact with me and like said to the staff captain, saying like, we're in contact with her. I promise she's coming. She's coming. And I got onto the ship and I was sweating so much. And like, they were doing this briefing at the time. So that's when I knew like, wow. And so what will happen? People will question, what will happen? So basically, they let me wait in an entire like cruise, so the whole week, not knowing what was gonna happen.
So
But
you were thinking you're getting fired this
I
whole
was
time.
literally thinking they were gonna pack my stuff and then I was gonna go like the next day. But the fact that they left me waiting like for that entire week was the most worst experience of my life, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, obviously, I was committed, in a relationship with you. I
Right.
kind of wanted things to go, and for things to turn and say you're fired, like, that kind of messed our complete relationship and everything. So, however, to get to the point, I did the safety briefing. I was like, I'm so sorry, apologise. So I think it was the second day before we were going to arrive in Sydney. And then I got called in the staff captain's office with the entertainment director and the youth director. And I sat in and I was just crying. And I got into the office and he said, so you were late? And I said, like, yeah. And they said, what were you doing? And I said, I was doing the bridge. I kind of made an excuse saying, like, someone was, like, really slow and delayed the whole tour. And I, be honest, I kind of just cried. I just cried and cried and cried. And the staff captain, like, kind of, like, knew, like, she really means, like, she... And, like, they just gave me a verbal warning. But if that was if they didn't get in contact with me or whatsoever, I would have been still in Sydney. Well, not to this day, but
Right.
like
But the ship would have taken off without you, you mean?
yeah, I wouldn't have no passport. I would not have anything. Probably like I'll have my bank cards and everything, but I would literally just be myself. Just with
Yeah, that's the last thing you want. So take it from us. Do not be the last person on the ship.
yeah, that's not the first time. I've done it quite a few times, but
Well, that was the first time, right?
yeah,
But there were other times after that.
yeah. So obviously, mine was the journey cruise. We went to so obviously Sydney. We went. We were gonna go to. Where was it? Where we're gonna go to? Where to do dry dock?
Singapore?
Oh yes, Singapore. But I didn't end up going there because that's when I left and I went to another ship before coming on. That was it. I was gonna come to another ship before coming to you. Oh no, I can't remember. It's been
It
so
was a
long.
little while ago at this point. We've been off ships for longer than we were on ships, actually.
Yeah.
But I want to say that that's when you went to Inspiration, right? Isn't that why you went there?
Oh,
Because you
that's the
weren't there for
worst.
that
Yeah.
long,
That
right?
I was out of. I've been on so many ships and so many itineraries. It's really hard to keep track. But I went to Los Angeles, Long Beach,
Right.
and 3 Day Port. Not my favorite ship. Kid camp was beyond absolutely crazy. The parents just plant the kids and just want to go for a booze cruise.
Right.
So it was a bit hectic, but we did a nice itinerary for that. But what do you think, like, when I came back and our first glance when we set eyes on each other?
Yeah, it was definitely very emotional because I hadn't seen her in months.
It kind of
Um,
reminds me when we go back onto Magic and you started shaking. You're like a bunny rabbit, you were like shaking.
yeah, well, I hadn't seen you for a while and I was nervous, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like a young boy you were.
Well, I kind of was.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, God, I don't know what. Yeah, we kind of just taken off from there, went on Triumph, and we did.
Yeah, we were on the Triumph because I guess I got on there in July. I must have got on there in the beginning of July. And then it was there right from the beginning of Christmas. Actually, they cut that one a little bit short. I was going to be there until like New Year's Eve is when I was going to go home, but then they cut it short by like 2 weeks. But you were there, you got on in August, and when did you leave in January of 2019 or what? Honestly don't remember. Because I
Yeah,
remember I came to England to visit you in January or no, no, you came here to visit in January of 2019. So you must have gotten off Triumph in January 2019. I think you were here for like 5 weeks. And remember, we went to New York and
oh yeah,
Philly, and that was another trip. Um,
yeah. That New York was an
yeah, that was your
experience.
first time, like, because you
Yeah,
had been to like Orlando and stuff, but obviously Pennsylvania is about 1,000 miles away from Southern Florida. So it was the first time visiting here, and it was winter. Remember, we went outside. We were seeing a taping of Stephen Colbert. Do you remember how cold that was?
yeah. It was
And they
freezing to
made
be
us
fair.
wait outside.
Yeah, that was pretty
It
cold
was
to be
like
fair.
probably below freezing temperature.
We went to watch a show as well. What show was that?
Jersey Boys. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was off Broadway. That was fun.
yeah. Your sister got us tickets
Yeah,
for that,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
she?
that was fun.
And then the tower.
Do you mean the Empire State Building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Empire State Building. We went to do that. So anyway, we were gonna go for a meal, and he said, "Oh, dress up in dress up," and I did
Oh, I
not
remember that.
like. He, I thought he dressed up. He brought an entire suit, and I was like, I only brought like a nice jacket and some jeans, and he was like, "I thought we're dressing up." Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I had brought it, I like packed it, folded it up, and carried it around in a backpack all day. I forget what the restaurant was. I remember going to an Indian restaurant, like a
Yeah.
kind of like pretty
You got
nice
changed in
upscale Indian restaurant. Yeah,
Starbucks, didn't
I
you?
was just going to say, I got changed into the suit from my whatever I was wearing during the day in the bathroom of a Starbucks.
And we stayed in some apartment that didn't have any plates and didn't have any
Yeah,
curtains.
that was an
How she lived.
Airbnb in Brooklyn that right before we got there, she told me, "Hey, I'm not supposed to be doing this. So if anyone asks, you're my cousin."
Yeah.
it was interesting to say the least. Like, yeah, like Kim said, she had like one plate and like one bowl. She clearly lived alone, which is fine, but just to have like one piece of each dish and silverware that
Yeah.
you need, like you're gonna get that dirty and then you're gonna wash it every single time and then make food again. That was kind of weird. She didn't have curtains, so the sunlight was coming in. It was
Oh.
interesting. Well, it sounds like that's our time. So I guess we'll have to wrap it up here, but we'll definitely pick it up in the next episode.
We'll probably talk. We'll talk about cabins, like the different, like split between staff and crew. We'll show you some images of like the our cabin looks
Yeah,
like.
we have all kinds of like pictures and footage and stuff, and we have to talk about our cruise that we just took.
Yeah,
We just
definitely.
got back actually not that long ago from our cruise that we went on. My first one as a guest. I was a blue card.
I got a red card.
Yeah,
Ooh
we'll
ooh,
tell you more about
upgrade.
that in the next one. So you'll have to stay tuned, everybody. Thank you for listening and watching Sail Away with Kim and Tyler. Make sure to like and subscribe. Consider leaving a comment. If you have a question, maybe we'll
Yeah,
answer it in a future episode.
yeah. More questions and we can answer and like
Yeah, we'd love to
any.
hear from you.
Yeah.
Anything you want to know about cruise life, we'd love to talk about it. But thanks, and we'll catch you in the next episode.